Hi everyone, welcome to another Joseki lesson. In this video, let's keep talking about the pressing attachment at number 6. In the previous video, we talked about white's response right here at number 8, this extension, which is considered the correct move for white. But there are a couple other options for white that are situational. So on an empty board like this, these two moves that I'll introduce in this video will lose you a little bit of winning probability. But for beginners and amateur players, these are perfectly playable. So let's look at these two moves. The first one is right here. This move prevents black from coming into the corner. And black cannot just connect here, right? This is too soft. White will get to extend here. White has a nice shape. And black still needs another move here or here, right, to finish the shape. So this will be pretty good for white. Instead, black should Atari, right? This Atari move, usually a good move when you can get your opponent to this kind of a pyramid 4 shape. It's an ugly shape, very inefficient. So it's a good exchange for black to make. And now, the problem for black is that black has 2 cutting points. So what should black do? And this is where you, as white, can test your opponent a little bit. The correct move is actually to step down here, this descent, at number 11. But of course, this still exposes black to 2 cutting points. And white will cut on the outside, black extends, white presses again, black plays the hane, white kills number 9 with number 16, and black finishes the shape with number 17. So this is considered slightly better for black, but I think it's perfectly playable for beginners and amateurs, especially if you're white. If you like the possibility of having a big corner once you block here, number 18, the corner is all yours. It's a sizable territory. Of course, in the beginning of a game, playing this block is not as valuable as playing elsewhere. The biggest benefit of playing at number 11 for black is preserving this possibility of coming into white's corner and destroying it. Black should be able to make a living shape very easily, like this, connecting back, or something like this. Right? So white's corner is still not secure after this Joseki. Note that cutting here would be kind of wrong for white. Black can just play this, and having this exchange here doesn't really help, right? This way, number 12 doesn't really help. You might be thinking that this is Sente at number 20, but it's actually not. Black can just give up these 2 stones, right? It's not that valuable, especially at the beginning of a game. So it's a big endgame move, but number 20 doesn't really do much besides securing the corner. So that's why whites should probably save this cut until later and play this cut instead. What if black connects on the outside? Also, this is situational, right? If black really needs to solidify its influence toward the center, number 11 could be the right situational move, but it loses you points because white will be able to capture number 5 with number 12. Now black plays at number 13. And now this is really a test for beginners and amateur players. Should you play the descent, this extension here, number 14, or should you capture as white? Think about this for a moment and see if you can come up with a correct answer. So if you're ready, the correct answer is to capture. Usually in this situation, the correct move is always to capture. Number 14 here will be wrong because black will just block at number 15, which is Sente. You might say that these 2 stones are not that important, but the difference here is that black will be able to make a very solid shape. Black is already alive, basically. Whereas if white plays here, black potentially, this wall here, might come under attack in the future. So it's still a possibility. So when it concerns life and death, saving these 2 stones is still valuable. So it's not just an endgame move here. So this way, white is over-concentrated. You can say the corner is big, but white is over-concentrated here, and black has a very efficient shape. So this is not okay for white. That's why white must capture here. And now if black stands down, white does not add a move here, right? This will be the equivalent to the previous variation, where white plays a useless move right here at G18. That is why white's number 14 should not be here. It's definitely wrong. You have to capture. And as black, what should you do, right? This is another kind of a test for beginners and amateurs. As black, standing down here is not the optimal move. You have to play the Atari here. But of course, you're going to say this is a ko, right? Once white triggers number 16, this is going to be a ko. Black captures first. That's the good thing. If you're on an empty board, this is not going to help white much because white can't really win this ko. And if black somehow connects here, this is super solid, right? This is a super solid shape, and white still needs to play a move here in the corner. So this is definitely pretty good for black. So even if black loses here, black will get to play 2 moves elsewhere on the board. So black is not really afraid of this ko. And that's one thing, especially beginners should remember. And if you do not play at number 15, if you play something like this, then white will get to play this hane on the second line, which is really important for territory, right? It makes a huge difference because black doesn't really have the upper side sealed off after white plays at number 16. And even if white just cross on the second line, black is going to lose a lot of points here in the end game, right? Don't play it at the beginning of a game, or white will potentially be able to come into black's upper side. Compare this to this, right? Number 15 really seals off the upper side for black, and white's only way of coming into the upper side is to play this ko, which will allow black to capture the ko first, and even if white wins, black will play 2 moves elsewhere. So that's why number 15 here is really important. And of course, if you're white in this situation, what should you do? Another common beginner mistake is to connect here, right? Connecting here is completely useless at the beginning of a game. It doesn't gain you any points. Black is still pretty solid, right? This way, if you play here, black can Atari and seal white off, right? So this is why sacrificing number 15 is really important. If you don't play here, white plays at number 18, then you can't seal off the upper side. But having a stone here for black really helps. So that's why white should not play here. White should extend here on the left side instead. And this is the joseki. So it's playable for both sides. The corner's pretty big. It's mostly secure. And black's shape is also pretty efficient on the outside, pretty solid. And black has sente. Right? So this is also a viable variation if black wants to save number 9 by having more influence toward the center. Lastly, connecting here is not the most efficient move. White can just cut and start a fight, right? This way, it's not a good fight for black because black will have 2 groups to take care of. White is mostly settled and alive here in the corner. So this is going to be a slightly tougher fight for black. But of course, if you want to play this out with your opponent, you can go ahead and try it. So that's it for number 8 right here. And another move for this video is right here. I see a lot of amateurs play this move. It's actually not the best move to play when the board is empty. It seems like white really wants to press black down. And black doesn't really need to worry. Black only needs to play right here at number 9. And now white faces a choice. White can just connect here. And black will still be able to play this exchange, which resembles this joseki, right? One method of thinking when you're comparing these josekis is through the equivalency test, right? This is the equivalent of this move, right? So after number 12, black takes sente, and white plays this exchange at number 14 and 15, right? This is the joseki we just saw before this variation. And does this benefit white or black, this exchange? And the answer is it benefits black more than white. Why is that? Because black has a weakness at this cutting point after this joseki, right? If you're trying to put some pressure on black, number 14 is not the way to go, right? The contribution to white's wall here is not that big. It's not that great. And black can be satisfied taking the territory on the 4th line here. So the better move for white is to play the pincer, right? This way you put more pressure on black. And this cutting point is always going to be a potential weakness, right? It's kind of a headache. But after this exchange, this cutting point is completely gone. Black no longer needs to worry about it. So that's why playing here, this exchange doesn't benefit white at all. So that's why this exchange at 8 and 9 will not benefit white. And white plays here after number 8, right? If black can capture number 8 in a ladder, as in this situation, then this will be a ponoki, right? Even if white plays some potential ladder breaking moves, it's worth it for black to just capture this stone. Super solid, super valuable, and this is not okay for white. Even if, say, black cannot capture number 8 on the ladder, then we can just go back to one of the previous variations we just saw, right? And this is also playable for both sides, right? We'll just go back to the previous variation, where even if white cuts here, black can still scramble by playing here, right? So this is going to be a fight, but number 19 is the correct move that secures as much ice space for black as possible. And now white has two groups, right? These two stones and number 18. And so this is going to be a fight, but black should not be really afraid of this fight. So that is why number 10 is probably not a great idea for white. So white probably wants to move to the center, but playing number 8 and 9 is probably not the best idea. It's not the best exchange. Of course, if you're black in this situation, and if you want more of the corner, right, if you do not want white to play here, number 10, you can come to the corner first, right, by playing these two exchanges and extend here. Now white will probably have to block here, but the problem with this shape, of course, is this cutting point. And white cannot Atari this way. This way, this corner will probably be dead for white, or it will be a ko that doesn't really benefit white, right? Because white has the corner to start with, and even if black loses the ko, black gets to play two moves elsewhere. So this will benefit black. And if black takes the corner, then all of a sudden black has occupied 3 corners on the board. So this is not okay for white. Too much of a risk. So the best white can do is simply to Atari from the 3rd line and allow black to cut off these 4 stones. And these 4 white stones will be in for a very tough fight. That's why if you're black and if your opponent plays this move on an empty board, and if you like fighting, you can trigger this fight for sure. White will almost certainly have to stand down here, right? White cannot just connect here. This will be a super inefficient shape that doesn't even secure the corner, right? So white will have to block here, and you can trigger this fight. So might be a good idea to try in your next game if your opponent plays a number 8. So I think that's it for this video. We have at least one more video on the pressing attachment joseki. As we know, these josekis almost always get really complicated really fast. So just absorb as much as you can. Remember the easiest variations and try some of them in games. As always, thank you for your support, and please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for watching.